Hi, how are you? Oh, there we go.
Wait, there we go. Hi. Sorry about that.
It's okay. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Has it been a long day already? Yeah.
Definitely has. But that's okay.
This is the easy part, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Gives me a second to just kind of sit and chill and just relax for a few.
You've got a lot on your mind. I'm sure you've got a pretty big fight coming up. Can you talk to me a little bit
Yes.
about that fight?
Oh gosh, this is like the cream of the crop kind of fight. Holy cow. Yeah, fighting Paty Juarez on August 16th here in Denver. Dropping a weight class to challenge her for her belt at 135 pounds.
What was the decision like? Why drop down a weight? Why this fight?
So I usually fight at 135. That's been like my money weight class. When I signed with BYB, they offered me the 140-pound fight right out the gate. Which to me was fine because it was just less weight to cut. And so after beating Patty at 140, I was like, okay, I want to drop to where I usually fight and I want to challenge her for her belt. It's all about making history, leaving a legacy, doing that really cool stuff that's never been done before, pioneering the way through bare knuckle for women. So.
Yeah, I mean, you specifically mentioned that, the woman part of everything. Everything's a little bit different for the women, it seems like in every aspect of life. But
Yeah,
especially when it comes
definitely.
to sports, what sort of challenges have you found along the way, if any, being a woman, especially in combat sports and even more so in bare knuckle boxing?
Um, so it's a very male dominated industry, right? There's even outside of bare knuckle, just in combat sports in general, there's probably 200 or 300 men to every one woman, that's training and fighting. Um, so the challenges that I faced is, having other women training partners, somebody that moves, because men and women move differently, right? So you want to make sure that you can train with what you're going to be fighting with, and that would be a female. Um, but also on like the fighter aspect of it, like there's not as many opportunities. I feel like we have to put on a bigger show. I've noticed a lot of people in the comments on like social media and stuff like that. They're like, well, women fights should never be main events. And I'm like, why? Like, we are just as capable of fighting like the guys are, and I've seen some pretty entertaining female fights. So don't discredit us just because we're women. Um, even down to sometimes the guys, you could have a guy and a girl fighting on the same card or whatever, and the guy's just gonna get more recognition um because they're guys. So that's why I like to put on really entertaining fights. I don't want to just go in there and be like, all right, let's try to do this in 30 seconds. Like, I want to put on a show, you know what I mean? So um yeah, it's just I just feel like we have to work a little bit harder to get the respect out of everybody, which is great because when I'm done fighting, my next plan in life is to manage female fighters,
Oh,
to
cool.
be a great advocate for them because I've had nothing but male managers, and there's not really former female fighters out there helping out the girls that are up and coming, right? So yeah, that's what I want to do.
That's really cool. I like
Thanks.
you're right. I now that I think about it, I can think of a few female managers, but I don't think they ever fought before. So that's definitely something I haven't seen before.
Yeah,
Really cool.
yeah, definitely something different because like, I've had some male managers there and they're like, I'm like, do you have somebody that could braid my hair? And they're like, huh? I'm like, cool.
Yeah.
What about, this and this, or the nutrition is different with females, especially, around our cycles and this and that. So I have like this whole team of tried and true, you know, failures and successes of people that I trust with women specifically, and just to be able to provide that for female fighters, so there's not all these challenges of trying to figure it out along the way, right? You can just focus on your fight and be like, okay, cool, well, we know this works for a female, we know this works with the female. Yeah, I'm super excited for that chapter whenever this chapter's done.
You mentioned too that that fans don't like to see women headline fights, and I definitely see that. But you're headlining a fight, and it's your first one, right? Does
Yes.
that feel extra special?
Yeah, so I didn't know we were the main event until they announced the card. So I was like, oh shoot. So for me personally, like it was cool because it's like a bucket list item, you know what I mean? Like I had this list of things I wanted to accomplish as a fighter. Headlining a card was one of them. But I thought it might have been a little bit more far-fetched. But yeah, I saw it came out and they said that I was the main event. I'm like, oh shoot. So it gives me a little bit more drive to just work that much harder. Not that there's not a lot of pressure as it is anyways, but just added just a little bit more just to make sure that I perform at my best and, put on a show, put on something that's main event worthy.
Did you have to do anything special for the trigon training? Like I asked this for everybody because it's such a unique space. Some people have, roped off space. What
Yeah.
did you do, if anything?
Yeah, so prior to my first fight, we roped off a boxing ring just to get used to working in a smaller space. And that was pretty cool. The funny thing was, is what we had cut the ring down to was smaller than what the trigon actually was. So when I got in there to fight, I'm like, okay, well, there's a little bit more room in here, so I can move a little bit better. Um, and so now we're just working on, cleaning up some of the things that we did with that smaller space, and because you don't have a lot of room to wiggle around, so you don't want to stand directly in front of your person, but you also got to be evasive at the same time. So there's definitely strategies with that.
Do you feel like it's your home? Or did you feel like instantly, you feel I hear fighters say like, "Oh, I go early and I want to get to feel like it's my home." Do you feel like it's your home there?
Yeah, so I actually really enjoyed the space in there. I had fought for another promotion and they had a bigger space, and one of the gals that I had fought was running the whole time. And so it was really hard to implement a game plan, get a really good strategic fight going. But with the Trigon, I'm like, all right, cool. Like we're here, we're fighting. Like there's no running, and that's what I like and appreciate about it is like here we are.
Is that kind of what drew you to bare knuckle just to begin with, or was that just another aspect of fighting you just want to conquer it?
So I've tried all sorts of different combat sports, right? I've done MMA, boxing, kickboxing. I've done sambo. I've fought combat sambo against a guy. Like I've tried everything. And I got approached by Bare Knuckle when I was still an amateur. And I was like, no, absolutely no way. Nothing about that seems appealing. Like I'm going to get my face cut up. It's still a brand new sport, right? So you don't know much about it. And then I saw a women's fight that a girl I personally knew had fought in. And like 2 weeks later, she looked totally fine. Like her face wasn't permanently maimed and stuff like that. And I was like, you know what? If she can do it, I should give it a try, right? Like try everything once. You never know. You you don't know, right? Till you try it. So I tried it, and no joke, the first punch that landed in my first bare knuckle fight, I was instantly hooked. Like mid fight, I was like, "This is exactly where I'm supposed to be. This is for me." So yeah, like that's why I just try everything just once because you never know, right?
That's true. So I'd like to
Yeah.
ask some non-fight related questions to get to know you, or have the fans kind of feel a better connection with you. Is
Okay.
there anything that you have, like you do in your life, like a weird hobby or something you really enjoy that people might not know about you?
This is hilarious. This gets everybody every time. So I have a day job, and my day job is I'm an accountant.
Okay.
Yes, your face right there. That's every time I share that information, everybody's like, wait a minute, that is totally opposite. Yes,
Yeah.
I am an accountant by day and a bare knuckle fighter by night. That's probably like the most shocking thing I do. Otherwise, I just read a lot of books. I like to be outdoors, nothing super crazy, but the accountant factor is pretty, it's pretty funny.
You have a lot of fellow accountants coming to watch you fight, or what do they think of you fighting?
So the place that I work for is actually pretty small. There's five of us that work there. And my boss and one of my coworkers come to my fights all the time, and she gets a kick out of it because she'll be in the crowd and people will be like, "Yeah, I'm going for that chick," and she's be like, "Did you know I'm her boss and she's an accountant?" And they're like, "Wait a minute, what?" So
That's
yeah,
cool.
yeah.
So you mentioned reading. Normally I ask what people are binge watching, but are you reading anything interesting right now?
Yeah, right now I'm on the second book in the Fourth Wing series.
Okay.
My sister was like, "You've got to read this." So I was like, "All right, cool." Normally I'm like a psychological thriller kind of book person, but she's like, "You should really read this series." So I'm on book two of that one. Definitely liking it.
I've heard that's really good. I have both of them, but I'm weird. I don't like to read until all of the books are out. So I buy them and I just sit there and then because I'm not good with the cliffhangers.
Yeah, yeah, that's I know. I'm like, man, 'cause she did the same thing. She's like, "I don't like cliffhangers, but you got to read it." I'm like,
Yeah.
dude. So,
What's your favorite cheat meal?
oh gosh, right now, there's nothing that I'm craving because my nutrition is pretty locked in, so I don't get a lot of weird cravings. But the number one thing that I do after I fight is I go have a massive brunch.
Oh,
Like, my eyes are bigger than my stomach, but I like breakfast all the time, and I just want to sit there and eat breakfast all day long the day after my fight. That's it.
are you a pancakes or a waffles girl?
Either one.
Yeah.
Either one. I don't care. It's like I like pancakes with peanut butter. I like waffles with butter and syrup, or like 'em all together. Like I don't care. Breakfast is my jam.
Did when you were growing up, when you were a little girl, what did you want to be when you grew up?
I actually wanted to be a trauma surgeon.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's cool. Was there a reason why that was what you wanted to be?
I wanted to do something in the medical field, and something about like the intensity and the chaos. I work really well under pressure, so that probably is why I wanted to do that. But
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely an adrenaline thing you're doing now, so that's very
yeah,
similar.
so I'm like on the other side of that,
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah. When you threw your very first punch, do you remember the moment? Was it on the schoolyard? Was it with a sibling, or was it actually like in the gym? Do you remember that first moment?
Probably the first punch I ever threw, unfortunately, was on my little sister. I was a little hothead as a kid. I never got into any fights when I was in school. I got into a fight with a cousin one time. That was more rage fueled, but like fighting wise, I never threw a legit punch until I was 30 years old.
Wow.
So yeah.
So there's always
Yeah.
time for there's no everyone says I'm too old to start. There's no such thing as too old to start.
There is not. I actually had a conversation a couple days ago with a girl. She's in her early 30s, and she's like, "Man, everybody's telling me I'm too old." I'm like, "Dude, I didn't start training until I was 30, and I went pro at 36."
Yeah.
Like, and she goes, "Oh my gosh, that gives me so much hope." I'm like, "Yeah, like when you train from, when you're 4 years old, your body takes a lot of wear and tear because I started so late. I don't have all that wear and tear on my body. So I've been very fortunate to, this is my 10th year in all of this, and, it's still going pretty good.
And my last question for you, what are your goals for the rest of the year after you get this belt?
So after I get this belt, I actually turned 40 like 6 weeks after the fight. So I am going to go skydiving for my birthday. Yes.
First
And
time?
then, yeah, Yeah, first time. So that was like, I was like, oh, I'm turning 40. I gotta go skydiving. And then beyond that, probably just working on my businesses a little bit more, getting things a little bit more ironed out for, when transition time comes, like, because I'll have a little bit of some downtime for healing and stuff like that. And so that's what I'll do. Or maybe I'll learn how to play the guitar that's been sitting in my room for 2 years.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate
Of
it. I
course.
enjoyed watching you fight last time. I'm sure I'll enjoy
Oh,
it this
thank
time
you.
too.
I hope so. I hope so. I always try to put on fun fights.
It was
So,
great. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
of course. Thank you. All
Have a great day.
right. You too.
Bye bye.
Bye.